We studied what is causing these fatalities using science and data and evidence, and then we slowly treated it like the public health problem it was, and it got reduced.
This Trump voter thought he was about to humiliate Barack Obama on guns. But instead, Obama dismantled the entire argument piece by piece. Watch.
Why then do you and Hillary want to control and restrict and limit gun manufacturers, gun owners, and the responsible use of guns and ammunition to the rest of us, the good guys, instead of holding the bad guys accountable for their actions? And Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to use Chicago, your hometown, a city that has some of the strictest gun laws in the nation, a city that for decades and still is under Democratic control, a city that has an outrageous and even embarrassing murder rate as my first example. Why can't we round up these thugs, these drug dealers and gang members, and hold them accountable for their actions, or allow the good people in Chicago access to firearms to protect themselves?
Good. All right. Well, let me, it's a multi-part question, so let me just say a couple things. First of all, the notion that I or Hillary or Democrats or whoever you want to choose are hell-bent on taking away folks' guns is just not true.
President Obama was just getting warmed up. The town hall in his final year in office in 2016 came in the midst of the Trump versus Clinton presidential campaign.
I don't care how many times the NRA says it. I'm about to leave office. There have been more guns sold since I've been president than just about any time in U.S. history. There are enough guns for every man, woman, and child in this country. And at no point have I ever proposed confiscating guns from responsible gun owners. So it's just not true. What I have said is precisely what you suggested, which is, why don't we treat this like every other thing that we use? We used to have really bad auto fatality rates. The auto fatality rate has actually dropped precipitously, drastically, since I was a kid. Why is that? We decided we had seatbelt laws. We decided to have manufacturers put airbags in place. We decided to crack down on drunk driving and texting. We decided to redesign roads so that they were less likely to have a car bank. We studied what is causing these fatalities using science and data and evidence, and then we slowly treated it like the public health problem it was, and it got reduced. We are not allowed to do any of that when it comes to guns, because people, if you propose anything, it is suggested that we're trying to wipe away gun rights and impose tyranny and martial law. Do you know that Congress will not allow the Center for Disease Control to study gun violence? They're not allowed to study it because the notion is that by studying it the same way we do with traffic accidents, somehow that's going to lead to everybody's guns being confiscated. When we talked about background checks, if you buy a car, if you want to get a license, first of all, you got to get a license. You have to take a test. People have to know that you know how to drive. You don't have to do any of that with respect to buying a gun. And when we talked about doing effective background checks, it was resisted because the notion was we were going to take your guns away. I just came from a meeting today in the Situation Room in which I've got people who we know have been on ISIL websites, living here in the United States, U.S. citizens, and we're allowed to put them on the no-fly list when it comes to airlines. But because of the National Rifle Association, I cannot prohibit those people from buying a gun. This is somebody who is a known ISIL sympathizer, and if he wants to walk in to a gun store or a gun show right now and buy as many weapons as ammo as he can, nothing's prohibiting him from doing that, even though the FBI knows who that person is. So, sir, I just have to say respectfully that there is a way for us to have common sense gun laws. There is a way for us to make sure that lawful, responsible gun owners like yourself are able to use it for sporting, hunting, protecting yourself. But the only way we're going to do that is if we don't have a situation in which anything that is proposed is viewed as some tyrannical destruction of the Second Amendment. And that's how the issue too often gets framed.
It was a remarkable exchange on countless levels, and it resonates now as the Obama Presidential Library opens. If there's something conservatives hate, it's when somebody calmly addresses their gun argument with facts and data instead of cliches and jargon. And that's what happened here. In Elkhart, Indiana, after a town hall broadcast on PBS, Barack Obama stuck around to answer even more audience questions. This Trump voter, sounding confident, pitched every standard conservative talking point about firearms. Bad guys with guns. Chicago. Democrats want to take away your guns and trample on your rights. But Mr. Obama did something that Republicans have long struggled with. He slowed the argument down and forced the debate back into reality. And along the way, Mr. Obama called out the biggest conservative lie around guns, this claim on the right that Democrats are plotting to take away everybody's firearms. Mr. Obama noted that gun sales exploded during his presidency. If Obama was actually the anti-gun tyrant that conservatives claimed, why did gun ownership continue to rise? Why were Americans still buying weapons in massive numbers? Even Democratic efforts during the Obama administration to limit the sale of assault weapons did not get through Congress. And that's because Mr. Obama respected the legislative process. So in the wake of the horrific Sandy Hook school massacre, for example, as Republicans blocked even modest gun regulations, all Mr. Obama and Democrats could do was make the case for new gun regulations. They couldn't force it on the nation, say in the way that Donald Trump has forced his policies on America by simply ignoring Congress and the courts. What makes the Obama clip so noteworthy, even years later, is that Barack Obama didn't come across as emotional or defensive. The Trump supporters seemed to be trying to provoke outrage, but Mr. Obama responded by using straightforward and easy-to-understand logic. The comparison to automobiles was stunning because it exposed how irrational the gun debate was in America and how irrational it continues to be. And it's not just guns. Healthcare, the economy, immigration, foreign conflicts. In this era, Donald Trump has reduced everything to shallow political theater where MAGA delusions and feelings reign supreme, and where reality, facts, and science do not matter. At some point, perhaps sooner than later, America is going to swing back. As Barack Obama's library opens, we are reminded of his time in office and how he approached politics and policy debates. There is a roadmap for all of us. And hopefully that Obama legacy of facts, logic, and respect will guide us into the future and help America get better. By the way, Donald Trump seemed disoriented and confused at a recent global leadership summit. French President Macron, the host, asked the leaders to turn and face the cameras. Trump seemed oblivious.
Could you have a look to these guys?
Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, fumbled with a notebook and was looking down. She was told by the Canadian Prime Minister to look at the camera. Only then did Trump seem to snap out of it and catch on. At the end of the G7 arrival photo op, Trump was told to exit stage left. He wandered to the right. The other side, they said. This way, said Macron. Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular was from Brandon, who wrote of Trump, "The man doesn't even know where he is." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about Barack Obama and that day he was challenged by a Trump supporter and shredded the MAGA argument piece by piece. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.